gonna jump into it. So Matt had a closing today. Matt, why don't you tell us a little bit about how that took place? Were they first-time home buyers? What they buy? How much money did they need to bring to the table?
Yeah, so I had a couple of buyers. We just wrapped up. They were first-time home buyers. Really nice couple. They bought a single family, really nice home. It was a flip, but they did do a good job. You know how some flips can be. Sometimes they're like, ugh, they don't do a great job, but they did a really good job on this one. Got it under contract a month ago, closed 30 days later. They were first-time home buyers. They did go conventional. So, typically a lot of first-time home buyers, they do, 3.5%. That's a lot of mine do. But these particular buyers, they wanted to keep the payment down, so they went conventional, put 8% down. So they were able to save some money on PMI and, the payment. And it went pretty smooth. We had a final walkthrough. Everything was like basically brand new. So, it went pretty well. But yeah.
So how was the offer? Was the first one they placed? Was it really competitive?
Yeah, it was actually really competitive. She actually, and I actually called because they put a deadline. We submitted our offer. They put a deadline in place, and then I called her. So I don't know if you do this, but I've been starting to call the agents because some of them will like they'll like let you in sometime, not always, and it's maybe it's unlikely, but I've been starting to do this. I had a couple where they're like, oh, we do have another offer, and like some of them will just like tell you. Like I can't believe, like I never actually, so I just, even if they're not going to do it, I've been making calls. And she said because I think the house was 325, we put in 350, and they had an offer at 352, but we had some better terms. And she did ask if we wanted to come up, and I brought it back to the buyers, and they were like, no. And I actually told them I don't think we even need to because of our terms are a lot better. And I went back and told her, and she said, all right, we're going to take yours anyway. So, but yeah, it was, multiple offer situation. They had 6 offers. We were in the top. We were technically second, I guess, but.
Where's it the first offer they ever placed?
It was the second, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's
second
not bad.
offer. Yeah,
it's not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad for this market. I have a couple of buyers that they've already placed like 6 or 7, and it's like it's competitive out there. So I'm glad to get them closed out. They're happy.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So first-time home buyers, they put 8% down, got into their home. So that's about, they got their offer accepted a month and a half ago.
Yep.
So it's kind of like, I guess, to go over what the market's like right now. It's competitive.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah. As a buyer, it's competitive. It's costly. Yeah. I think it's so important. I mean, to give any tip out there, I think it's so important if you're in the market, even if you're a first-time or second-time home buyer, having your pre-approval letter ready before you look at homes. Like I got a showing, a couple showings over the weekend, and these clients are kind of like not completely approved yet, but I'm showing them the home, hoping it works out and they get approved. But if they like it, if you are looking at a house and I show them this house this weekend and they want to place an offer, they can't even act quick enough because they're not approved yet.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll take a learning experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, if you work with the right lender, they'll be around to get it in, but it is tough because you still don't technically know what you can even, you don't even know what you can actually, I'm sure you have an idea, but a lot of times, I don't even want to say you have an idea. So you really have no idea. Like if you're shopping without a pre-approval, you have no idea. Right. So, I mean, it's not my favorite thing to do, but I do.
Yeah, you got to do it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're out there right now and you're shopping and you're catching yourself looking on Zillow at least once or twice a week because you want to buy, not just because you're curious and like to look at houses, you're actually out there potentially as a buyer and you don't want to admit it to yourself. But if you're looking that often and you have thoughts of buying a house, you really should get pre-approved. Talk to a lender, get pre-approved. It's free to do up front. And just see where you're at. If you get a pre-approval letter, that's great. It's not hurting you. It's not costing you anything.
And it's free.
And it's free up front. Yeah, I mean, to get unless you get an offer accepted and all that, it'll cost you. But so get pre-approved and, make sure that you speak to that lender often. If you're going to look at a house and you're pre-approved and, run give them the address before you go. Make sure they run the scenario. You know, taxes are different on every house.
Yeah.
Your payment might fluctuate. The cost, your budget might fluctuate due to the taxes. So just speak to a lender before you get out there and look at that home. It's a little tip I have.
Yeah, you can also like run the numbers too on, again, like it's always best to do it with the loan officer, but if they're not around for whatever reason, you can always run it on you can run it on Zillow. If you work with your agent, they'll be able to give you like taxes, like, you know, because they'll be able to give you a better figure on taxes and insurance and things like that, because they do it all the time, you know. So just to fill it on Zillow, just to get at least you know, an overview on what the payment's going to be.
So someone asks you, let's say you're out there and a buyer asks you, hey Matt, when do you think this market's going to cool off? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to cool like 2 years ago. But yeah, inventory's like, you know, I mean, inventory's low. Multis, singles, condos. I mean, they're saying rates are going to drop, right? End of 2024. Who knows though? But I'd like to think at some point, but I don't know. It doesn't look like it's really stopping. So, you know, especially for buyers, it's tough out there. I don't see it. I don't see it happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a different.
No. When I get that question, like, hey Jay, when do you think the prices are going to cool off? Well, what I usually do is, like, there's a chart I have, and it's a pretty nice chart, and it shows the prices from all the way since starting in 1960 to today.
That's good. Yeah.
And it shows the chart, and it's been going consistently up over the past 60 years, and it only went down once. 2008. During that time, the prices actually dipped off a noticeable amount. But over the course,
then they went right back up a year later. Yeah, a year and a half.
A few years later.
Yeah.
So it's like over the course of 60 years, it went down significantly, like noticeably once. So do I think it's going to happen again in the next 2 years? I think no. I mean, unless there's some big economic thing that I cannot see coming, like another disaster like COVID, could whatever, but I do not see prices coming down for the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
And, you know, just another thing to think about, where it's such an inventory shortage. So a lot of people are fighting for multifamilies to build more multifamilies, because more multifamilies gives more housing. Because if you build a single family home, only one family can live in it. But if you build a 3-family home, that one house gives homes for 3 different families. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So multifamilies are supposedly gonna be being built more, and those single family home, if you own a single family home, the value's just gonna continue to go up and up, because single families are gonna be harder to come by.
Yeah, because they're more expensive too for people to buy. You know, like you can get into pretty much. No, I don't want to say anyone, but a lot more people can get into a multifamily than a single family, based on, you know, you have the rental income. So
yeah, and you know, it's maybe sometimes it's hard for people not in the industry to understand why prices the way they are, but I always resort back to that COVID's example, right? When there was a shortage of toilet paper, buyers would go crazy. I think, like, if I had no toilet paper in my house, and I need it, and I saw one roll on the shelf, and I had 5 people at Target were all looking at that roll, I'll be like, dude, I'll buy it for $20. I need it. I need to go home and go to use the bathroom. Like, my family needs that. I'll pay $20 for that one roll. Right?
Yeah.
So it comes to a point where a place to live is a necessity. So when there's not a lot for sale and there's so many people wanting and needing it, they're willing to pay more than what it's worth to have a place to live. That's kind of what's happening.
Yeah. Sometimes too, like if we go to a showing, even on the one we went to that we just closed on, I have a client that they want you to run the comps, and I have no problem doing it. I do that, and you know, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but the comps come out and it's like, you know, maybe it's like, oh, you know, they priced it pretty well, they're a little under, a little over, but there's 30 people at the open house.
Right.
You know, it's like, you got to kind of like figure, you know, it's probably going to be competitive. And if you like the house a lot, you know, it's a nice finished home, a nice flip they did. Like, if you like it, a lot of other people like it. it's going to be the comps. Sometimes I don't know how you feel about that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I want to touch on it. I don't know. Comps sometimes don't even, at least when you're buying, I'm not sure they always even matter.
Exactly.
Depending on the house, but
No, it's exactly right. It's someone will ask you, "Hey, I like this house. What do you think it's worth? What should I offer?"
yeah,
Two different questions.
Get that all the time. That
Two
question.
different questions.
Yeah.
What I think it's worth is this amount, but that is not what it's going to sell for. It's going to sell for more than what it's actually worth because of this inventory shortage. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Here are the comps. I wouldn't spend more than $450 on it. That's what the data is showing. But don't be surprised if someone bids $480.
Yeah, that's
So
like
two different questions. What is the home worth? Can you send me comps? And what should I offer?
two different. Right. Yeah, people hate hearing both of those, and I get it because it's like when you hear like, oh, if it's worth $325, but 350, 360 might be where you need to be.
Right.
They're like, what?
Yeah, and the word we used earlier, terms of an offer. Now, just to talk about what terms are. So like a home inspection is a huge term in an offer. It can really help your offer be so much stronger or so much worse compared to multiple on the table.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on the most standard home inspection? So if you have a buyer and they're going to do a home inspection, what are your thoughts on that in general? And then I'll say mine.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, and I know some people get offended. I think the home inspection, I always present it. Usually I don't even for me, because we're agents, we have a duty to let you know what your best options are, your rights and all that. And usually I just up front, first couple offers, I won't even bring it up. Then as we start shopping, offers get denied, they're going in over asking, they're starting to get hot. That's when I'll say, hey, look, here's an option. I just present it as an option, and I'll sometimes I'll even make a list. I have a list in my phone, a list of pros and cons of if you're going to waive the home inspection. Some people when they first hear that, they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, all right, it's not for you. That's fine. Then we're just going to keep.
Right. You're here to advise them.
Yeah.
You're not
I'm
them.
this is an option. And I, sometimes up front too, people will, oh my God, no worries. And you just keep going. Then eventually sometimes that's how it ends up happening. Sometimes too, they'll bring it up after so many. So, overall, my opinion as someone that did waive, owner of two houses at this point, you are too. I mean, I did waive it on the second one. It was fine. I mean, I had to repair some things, so, I mean, I don't advise on it because I don't want to have to,
right.
I don't want to have to deal with it later, but yeah.
No, yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, we're real estate agents that we're here to advise on what's happening in the market, how to make your offer stronger. What do we see other people doing to make their offers stronger? Here's the tools. You use the tools and do what you want with it.
Yeah.
And
it's an option.
It's an option. And when I think about the home inspection, I think the buyers they have the right to have a home inspection. Great. But the way it is in Rhode Island, especially in the kind of market we're in, is too loose. I mean, right now, if you were a buyer and you wanted to place an offer on a house, you have your rights to an inspection the way the contract's written in Rhode Island, and it comes down to if you're satisfied with the results or not. What does that mean? If you're unsatisfied with a light bulb not working, you could back out and get your deposit back.
Yeah.
Now put yourself in the seller's shoes. You have 5 offers on the table. One offer says home inspection. The other 2 might say no inspection. Who are they going with?
They're all the same price, let's say.
Right, they're no inspections. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, why is that? That person who placed an offer with the home inspection in there, right, the offer gets accepted on a Monday, the home inspection's on a Friday. They do the home inspection, the buyers think about it over the weekend, now it's Monday again, 7 days go by, they want to back out because of a light bulb, or they got cold feet, or whatever reason they use, they can back out. Now you have to put the house up for sale and you lost 7 days of the market time, and you might have a place to go on the other end that you need to be on a timeline for.
You need the money from the sale.
And also it leaves things open to haggling again. So let's say you want to offer $550 and you're going to have a home inspection. That $550 could very quickly become $535 because the home inspection, you ask for price reductions and credits and this and that, and now the seller's getting less.
Yeah.
So what I always suggest especially in today's market, is buyers have your home inspection, but you got to waive your rights to backing out with a dollar value in there. And what I mean by that is, let's say you say, hey, I'm going to waive my rights to my deposit back and backing out of this deal due to the home inspection. However, I'm going to have my inspection. If one item comes up on that inspection report that needs a repair that's worth blank, then I'll be able to back out and get my deposit back. That really makes your offer stronger. You get to have your home inspection still. It makes it stronger, more appealing, and I think it's a win-win everywhere. That's probably what you got to do.
That's probably the best bet, because you still get to have it, and then, you know, they're not gonna, like, you know, my God, if the hand railing needs to get replaced for $300 or whatever, you're not backing out over that, you know, or something like even $1,500. I mean, I personally, like, if I really like a house and something's like a few grand, I mean, I get not everyone might have.
It's not new construction.
It's not new construction. So, but you know, if something's like 10 grand, I might be like, oof, you know, yikes. So that might be a good reason. But yeah, if you really like a house, there's gonna be repairs. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably like the best route to go.
Right.
Have it, but can't back out if an item is more than $3,000 to repair. You know, I think something like that is pretty fair. Both sides get a little bit of what they want. You know,
and so what's going on with your? Well, let's start with your multifamilies.
Yeah, the one. So yeah, I have. So I live in one in Warwick, and rent out the other side, and then I have one in Pawtucket. Yeah, they're going pretty good. I have all the tenants paying mostly on time. I had a tenant pay on the 8th. For those of you that don't own a home too, you have till the 15th to make your mortgage payment. So, you know, that's always a good thing. But yeah, I had a tenant, you know, consistently paying on like the 9th. She did tell me, but I was like, oh, this is like, you know, so yeah, rentals, they're not all glamorous, but yeah, she's back to like paying a little more on time, but yeah, they're going good. Everyone's paying on time. They're going up in value. You know, I think back to those first couple of years owning that first one. Whew, there's some upfront work on these, but upfront costs, but
right, yeah.
they're really starting to pay off now. Like, so, yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone's out there is looking to invest or anything, but we have some investing experience. You have a multi. How's yours going anyway?
Good. No complaints.
No late.
No late payments.
Everyone's just paying.
No complaints so far. I think I got very lucky with the tenants. So, I bought the house a year ago, and both tenants that I inherited are both still there.
Yeah,
That's
and you
not
raised.
Too common.
Yeah,
I raised them. They agreed.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Yeah, I have all new tenants pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't you have a lease? I thought so. One of them had a lease. That's up. That's long gone, right? I think.
Right. Yeah. So when you buy a house or a multifamily, and there's a lease in place. So let's say unit 2 or floor 2, there's a lease in place. You have to honor the length and the time and all the things with the lease. So I bought it under rented, so I was taking almost breaking even every month for about 5 months until I could ask for a rent increase and start cash flowing a little. But I bought the property with the lease in place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's all good.
It's going. How much was that increase? Percentage?
I don't really remember. Maybe from 900 to 1,400. So.
Oh yeah, that's pretty generous. Now, some people out there are probably like, oh, this greedy son of a yeah. But that's actually not even that much for the unit. But yeah.
So let's touch on I guess the appraisal stuff now. That's another topic.
Yeah.
We could talk about like a home appraising. What does that mean? Did you run into any appraisal issues with this house?
No, it actually appraised 15 over. So,
wow.
Yeah, it ended up being, which doesn't always happen, but yeah. So yeah, basically if you buy a house, you know, the bank's going to come out and do an assessment on what they think it's worth. And, you know, ideally if it, like this one appraised 15,000 over.
So you went $25,000 over list price, and the bank still thinks it was worth $5,000, even more.
Three, because we went at 350 and they appraised it at 365. So yeah, the buyers are obviously, right? They're happy. You know, they're already 15,000 up, which is good. So yeah, that just goes to show, like, you know, the house, I mean, I think like, and I think they might have underpriced it too.
Yeah.
I didn't tell her that, but I did tell my buyers I would place an offer. I'm like, I think this house is underpriced.
Yeah, I've got one actually, a listing in Cumberland right now, in an area where there's really not too many multifamilies that sold recently, so it was very hard to come up with a price for this. And so we listed it for $550. It's a 3-family, and we got, I'm not gonna say the number yet, but well over $550.
Oh, really?
Well over $550. So now tomorrow's the appraisal. So we're hoping it appraises, because ultimately, right, if you're selling a house and it's subject to a buyer getting financing and they have to get it appraised, let's say you're under contract for $400,000 and let's say you're under contract for $400,000. The bank goes there, does the appraisal, says it's actually worth $350. The buyer will no longer be able to get a mortgage on that home. So they'll only be able to get a mortgage based on the $350 appraised value. So when you're out there as a buyer or seller and you're going way over the list price, at some point it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. The appraised value. Yeah. And then essentially, like, you know, at that point, I would probably just, if I'm the buyer's agent, I'm just going to ask for a price reduction, you know, because
what are you going to do? Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to, most people are going to finance a house unless they have a cash buyer. I mean, good luck, you know, I'd tell the listing agent, good luck. You know what I mean? Maybe they have someone else that wants to pay a little bit of a gap. Most people probably don't understand the appraisal gap, but yeah, essentially you can cover some of that balance, but that's not something I would do. I would actually tell my clients a terrible idea. That's my personal feeling on it. Because usually, I don't know, I think we're kind of the same on this, but I personally wouldn't tell my buyer to do anything I absolutely would not do. I might present it, but I would just probably tell them nah. So it's just my feeling.
Honest, Matt.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. You know, it is what it is. Not going to pay more. The bank doesn't think it's worth it. Why would I?
Right.
Like, the bank probably knows, you know, maybe they know a little more than us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would end at 23. Not too bad. You're going to clip stuff out.
Have a good night.